Right, so I want to do a quick character review of the LR tag, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Very excited for this unit. I managed to pull them earlier today. Sorry I'm so late getting content on this. It's been rather hectic with them releasing on Valentine's Day and me being quite busy the last few days. I've not been able to record or get any of it up. But in my initial reaction, I felt like I didn't really say as much as I wanted to say because I was stunlocked by how good these characters looked. Now that a couple of days have passed, and I don't want to say gotten used to them, because looking at them now, when I've now looked at them probably dozens of times, honestly. I mean, I've watched everyone's reactions to them and everything multiple times, and each time I just look back and go, wow, these animations really are insane. But I wanted to do a quick character review of them and go through their kit and a proper look through their animations. With that said, I'd like to get started with the animations. So first off is the banner unit Ledgic. Honestly, I've not got much to say about him, so let's quick play. I don't think we need to stop for this one. Yeah, I mean, it's a standard banner unit super attack. Honestly, probably more so on the weaker end of banner unit super attacks. There was nothing really there that stood out. There's no crazy close-ups, it's all pretty far shots. Like, when we've had banner units such as the MVP Ranger 17, who had gorgeous animations, to the point where, to be fair, he is the exception. This Ledgic isn't exactly in that conversation of good-looking banner units, right? Which you'd hope that maybe some anniversary level banner units might have a little bit more to them. I mean, last year we had the Goku active scale banner unit, which was a really cool unit to have in the game. But none of the banner units this year for Anni have been that special, which isn't anything major, to be honest. As long as the headliners and the big EZAs are great, that's what really matters. But it is nice when you've got a cool banner unit as well. What I do like, now it's funny to have anniversary Ledgic, but it is nice to get a buff for GT bosses, so that Omega can still kind of be thriving as we enter 2026 and go through this coming meta, because Omega is starting to show his age a bit more now. It's still great, but he's not god of the game like he was. So to get this little buff to his team is quite nice. That said, I think I'm done for everything that I have to say about Ledgic. Now, to get into the tags, I love this shot of them emerging from light. It gives me like almost Colosseum vibes how they walk out. It looks really good. I also saw a Twitter post of someone pointing out that the Year 7 intro and that follows them perfectly. And they very much do. Like, you could merge those intros into two and it just flows really nice. Honestly, someone like splice that into like a custom unit, it would just work. I do really like those smears on his hands there. And I do very much enjoy the how animated that the Vegeta's head movements are there. Of course, the line work is a little bit rough, but I think it in actual animation, it does kind of move quite nicely. Of course, we have year 4 reference poses, which Vegeta 12 key also opens up with. And I love this. Yeah, I love how the punch to the sky works there and the glow, like how it glistens as the punch lands here. Like, it does give a lot of impact and just, it's like, oh, this is where you're going. It's like a shining star in his face. I really like it. This quote's great, and of course it's a reference to Grade 2 Vegeta's combination against Saiyan Perfect Cell. Including, you get a cut of the Daima Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta there, which is interesting considering that we just got him with that cut in for part 1 of the anniversary, right? But revisiting that again for this Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. And the elbow from against Cell again. And this Garlic Gun is quite nice. It's angled very much like the same side Garlic Gun. In obviously the downward firing shot from the right. Though it does have a little bit of crackle there, and you do get nice close to the face. Now, the 18 key. This is honestly probably my favourite animation of these Part 2 units. Well, it's very close between the UI Goku 18 key, not the EX Super, the regular 18 key, and this Vegeta's 18 key. They snapped on the 18 key for all of these units, and it's kind of odd considering that you kind of don't want to see this animation. But I'm cheering when I get this instead of the EX sometimes, because it's so gorgeous. Like how I love how he flies through the sky here, and how bottom inverse. That drop kick's really nice. It's such a unique angle for Dokkan. Going inside the building here, and then getting these effects here, and then putting up with the building. It's now, as a big Chainsaw Man fan, it very much reminds me of the section in the building with Rize, and Rize exploding the building and shooting Denji up into the sky after. It's very much reminds me of that. I doubt it's intentional. I mean, this sort of cut has been done many times before Chainsaw Man, but that being a recent memory for me, and having gone to see that movie 4 times in cinema, it's something that I can easily point to and say, oh yeah, that definitely reminds me of that, and I love it. This flips into the kick here, I love. Now, this part, it does look really nice, like that kind of unrelenting barrage, and it looks great in 1 time speed. Now, having used them in the game for a little bit now, in 2 times speed, it is definitely a little bit much. You do lose track of all of the action. And of course, we have the Year 4 Final Flash reference, also during the Year 7 zone. I love how cleanly the building is torn off in both this and the Goku's. Now, going to the final Shine attack, also a really nice looking animation. I don't like it quite as much as I do the regulating key, but it's still gorgeous, right? And a lot of that is preference to how I like my animations. I love those like physical beatdowns, more so than I do just key blasts and stuff like that, right? So I'm very much more inclined to like a beatdown into the key blast animation like the regular 18 key, compared to this where it is just a beam. A very good looking beam at that, but it is a beam, right? Going to the final explosion pose, I love this shot of Vegeta's face, and the insanely rotoscoped, and that expression there, going back to it. Like, this is such an unique style that we just don't see on GT units, right? It's almost Shintani-esque in the rounded features, but it's, yeah, it's reminiscent to how a lot of the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta was drawn. and I do kind of love how it looks. And of course we have the overhaul at the end that I love. This Goku battle motion looks really good to me, by the way. It's one of the more detailed ones. Like, what's going on in the actual battle motion, of course, isn't much special. You don't have as giant of an aura as some, or even much of a pose. But the detail on his sprite looks better than the vast majority of the others that I've seen. Like, the hair looks great. It seems like there's a lot more detail in how his hair is shaped and shaded, and his musculature looks really nice. It's just all round looks great. The fur texture and everything. It's just a really nice looking sprite for Dokkan. Again, the Year 4 reference into the Android 19 rush. Having modded Xenoverse 2 for like a decade of my life, the first thing I think of when I see this is like that the MVP 17 combo in Xenoverse, where he's doing the repeated punch in the air. Very much reminds me of that. Into Sledgehammer. And then, of course, the blast it does against Baby, also in his Year 4 talkie. Also, I believe it was in the Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Never got him. But hopefully we'll by the time he is ace. But it's more of a blast from a father's time as opposed to an up close. That's right. It's 18 kilos. Yeah, this that shot of him zooming into his eye there. Yeah. Like, this looks really cool. Like, this heavily shaped eye. It looks memeable, but it also does, like, really put emphasis on how fierce he is. Again, going to an onslaught, which I do think has a similar problem to what Vegeta's has in 2 times speed, but I think it's less so. It does stay a little bit more focused, right, rather than going around the like the entire environment. Again, the Year 4 reference in the Kamehameha. Again, I love how cleanly those buildings get took off. Like, the top of those buildings really feel like, oh, they offered no resistance. They just evaporate under this beam, which of course is a given, given that, you know, they were capable of destroying the moon like 30 episodes into original Dragon Ball. It's not, of course, a building isn't doing anything to resist a Super Saiyan 4 Goku Kamehameha, but I love how cleanly it just rips apart, like, no resistance. It doesn't have a hole blown through it. Like, it's not concentrated at all. No, it just goes with the wind. I don't have much to say about the active, it being mostly reused and honestly worse looking than the Year 8 version. These added parts of the Citizens is a nice touch, but I think what they took out from the Year 8 version does ultimately make it worse, like the KO screen. Yeah, so we use that shot of firing it. And so is this, except it doesn't have, of course, the great KO screen of Pan rush and everyone rushing to Goku's body. But that's it for the animations. I do really love this character's animations. Probably not quite as much as I do their counterpart, but they look insane, right? Anyway, getting into the kit, their leader skill is, yeah, it's insane leader skill. So GT Heroes, you're getting, you know, a lot of your main characters off that, like, well, I'd say that GT Heroes and Power Beyond Super Saiyan does end up being a little bit redundant, in the sense of that most GT Heroes category characters you'll be using do fall under Power Beyond Super Saiyan, right? Like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, the Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the other Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Like, all of these characters are on beyond Power Beyond Super Saiyan anyway. The main one that you end up getting here is, of course, Tech Pan, which is a huge help for this character, given Game Rainbow Key Spheres, etc. Now, Power Wishes, honestly, this is probably the entire reason they gave them the Spirit Bomb active to get them on this category, which, fair enough, I suppose it's was due one, and it does help for. I'd say it helps for the year 8s, but not really. Both year 8s would be on this lead skill anyway, so they doesn't necessarily get year 8 is on it, but it's nice to have there. Now, All Out Struggle, Earthbed Fighters, or Giant 8 Power. Of course, this does get the vast majority of characters that you'd want on here, right? Like Earthbed Fighters, so you are getting like all of the Gokus that you're using. You're getting all the Super Saiyan 4s. Right? You're getting a huge chunk of characters into this 220% later. So he does stack in both his 12 key, 18 key, and his EX Super. 30% on 12 key, 44% attack, and 30% defense, or 20% defense, or 20% attack and defense on Super Attack. I do sometimes forget that it's 20% when it's only one, not the 30, right? But 20% stack on 12k, 44% attack and 20% defense stack on the 18k, but 44% stack on both on the EX Super. Now, stacking isn't too relevant at the moment, being that most of our fights are like 4 turns long, 4 or 5 turns. I mean, it helps a little bit, but it's not anything crazy. Now, not that we've had much content this anniversary yet, but I think the fact that they've gave all of this to this character at all should mean that there is some longer content coming. I don't think they'd give all of this stacking to this character if they weren't planning to do content around it. So, yeah, I would gear up for Festival Battles 2. Maybe some like more 10-turn fights like we had in the Red Zones last year with the like 5 different G-Man fights. And of course, he also has a raises allies attack by 10% in battle, which, this also just makes me think Festival Battles 2, right? This raising allies attack as well each time they get the EX Super, that'd be huge for theoretical Festival Battles 2, right? To get everyone up to that level where they are doing insane damage by the end of it. Like, imagine what Diamond Super Saiyan 4 Goku looks like towards the end of a Festival Battle run with 2 Vegetas getting this consistently. Like, how much attack stat is he going to put up? Like, STR Diamond Super Saiyan 4 Goku would be pretty insane, right? Especially if you're actually getting good luck with his EX Super stacks, which I've not been getting. So, of course, he does have a much better version than the Diamond Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Well, it's very similar, but Diamond Super Saiyan 4 Goku can ultimately have key problems, and this character, not so much. At least if you're using them with pop-up changes, right? So he does get full 400% attack and defense. So this key plus 3 per rainbow key so obtained. This should be pretty free and easy to get your rainbow orbs, because since he has this, it does make the pathing for the rainbow orbs much easier to get his abilities up. So if you're using proper rainbow orb changers, shouldn't have any issue getting this character's 24 key to get this super attack. He does guard, he gets 40% damage reduction just off that, and for once only he does change his own key spheres, but of course after this he has no orb changing, so you want to bring another orb changer. 3 or more rainbow key spheres obtained, damage reduction rate 25%. So you should at the very least consistently get this. So it would be up at guard and 65% damage reduction. Now, 4 or more rainbow key spheres obtained, you should be getting it for the most part, but there's definitely situations where it just doesn't happen. In that case, if you can't get this, honestly, I think it's worth using Goku instead. But when you do have this, you're at guard with 80% damage reduction. Now, that does seem insane on paper, but that does not mean that Vegeta cannot get caught. I have seen him get caught quite a few times, even through this. Of course, he is very strong defensively with this, but he doesn't have the most natural defense. So he very much can get caught, especially if it is like before he gets his when attacking buffs. So to be wary that he isn't necessarily invincible. He's not an immortal sort one. He can get caught if you don't have your stacks up, and it's before he's supered at all, etc. Yeah, he can get caught through that. After receiving or evading attack, he does give allies a buff to key and defense. This can help damage substance for Goku. He does have a key problem and he does need to be at 24 key. But with this character and this character's team, honestly, it's made damage substance for Goku's key seem pretty easy, like pretty free for me so far. But and it is just nice to have that defense pull out. So when attacking, it does get attack so offensive against all types and an additional super. So, you're never going to be below 14k for this character. It would almost be impressive for that to happen. So treat this pretty much like a basic effect, honestly. So attack defensive against all types. It's nice to have, but it's not crit. And you'll notice that Vegeta doesn't have any crit built in. So it might be a good idea to invest in that if you do get dupes. I'm probably not getting dupes until GDC. And I hope that I do get them then, so it might be worth getting some crit, because you will be spending a decent amount of time in the Vegeta portion of this unit. Of course, Goku has plenty of crit, but you will be spending a lot of time with Vegeta, and crits are very valuable to have. But of course, he also gets this additional super, which of course does give him a 20% stack to both attack and defense, and he also gets that 24k, which, as I said earlier, should be very free for this character. He infinitely gets stack and defense 100% for the rest of the fight, and another additional super. So he can perform 4 super attacks, including hidden potential. So he can stack relatively fast with that in mind. Now, of course, quite massive deal is that this character can just tag from turn 1. It's not something that was available in any of the last year tag units, and some characters lived and died by their tag conditions. So the year 10s, they fell off towards the latter half of the year. They would never have fell off. They'd still be great right now if you could tag with them from turn 1. So this is a massive improvement. Now, a character that got it even worse than the year 10s was the tag Khalifa and Kale. Turn 6 for them, right? And that automatic just made the character unusable for most of the year when we were getting 4-turn fights for the vast majority of the year, right? From GDC onwards. So that character completely died not too long after release because you just couldn't tag. And like that tag turn, when they first get their meetup, that turn for them was unbelievable on release and still pretty good now. But you just don't see it unless that character died. So this character just being able to tag and choose between Goku and Vegeta from turn 1 is incredible, and it does give a lot of flexibility with the character, right? And of course the condition for it, it's free and easy. GT Heroes or Power Wishers. That's plenty of characters, and it's certainly, if you're running this character's team, you're getting that, right? We've just gone over that. Now, link set, standard Super Saiyan 4 / Vegeta link set. You do get these big links like Saiyan GT, that you'll want to get up while using them, but with the characters that you'll be using, you'll naturally get these links up. Like you're running characters like Super Saiyan 4 Goku, you'll get Saiyan up. Maybe you're running both the Vegeta and the Goku side as a rotation, and that just gets you 6 out of 7 links up. You're running AGL Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, that's going to be great. You're likely maybe running the Year 7s, that's going to get you most of this up. The Year 8s are coming, that's going to get you some of these up, right? So you will be seeing these, you will be having 6-7 links up at pretty much all times with this character. That especially goes for the Goku side, when your lineage is replaced by Kamehameha, which of course will be a much more common link to have. Now categories, it is on every category under the sun. Being a tag unit of Vegeta and Goku, you just get a ton of categories, which does make them very valuable to have for missions and stuff. Of course, a lot of these categories aren't, obscure ones. They're pretty well built out categories, but you do get, categories that maybe aren't the best here as well, that could help you with some missions. Of course, when the categories of tag unit is much better when it's a villain and a hero, and then you just get more obscure categories on there, which you will need more help with. Now stats, their stats are very nice. The HP stat, I believe that might be the highest in the game. I can't think of something much higher than this. I have seen teams with over 1 million HP since this character released. That's because of this HP stat. And of course, linking partners. Just 6 links with the Goku side of the character. If he EZAs within this character's lifespan, that'd be pretty nice. Got 6 links with the Year 7s, also still a great character. 6 links with the AGL Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Again, incredible characters to have on the team. Then you get AGL Super Saiyan 3 to 4 Goku. Definitely starting to show his age, but he's still more than usable on the team. 5 links with SER Super Saiyan 4 Goku. again, he's a great option if you don't necessarily have all the characters. And he was a mainstay on the team. Now I think he's officially kicked off now just so because of that restriction of him needing to be in slot 1 and 2. There's not much reason to use this guy on main rotation right now when you've got these characters that are just going to do a lot more for you on main rotation. So I think that restriction has effectively kind of killed him as an option now, but he's still a great character. Now, we don't need to mention this guy. He's not good enough to ever make a team, unfortunately. Damage Substance for Goku's here, of course. You will be running him if you've got him. As well as Damage Substance for Vegeta. Again, he's not necessarily a must run on this team or anything, but he's very much a nice option. If you've got him, unfortunately, I went 1,500 stones deep on his banner, so I didn't get him. And you also have the Blues, which I wouldn't say you're running on this team, but you could. I mean, I kind of like my teams to be a little bit more thematic, so I don't think I'd run them just solely because they'd stick out like stuff on this score team. But you know, they are very much gods of the game, so I suppose you may as well be running them. Now, I would also expect the Insubstance for Gogeta on here. Do they not show many links with him? But Insubstance for Gogeta is, of course, a great option for the team as well. That I imagine will probably link fine. I mean, at the very least, you're definitely getting like same roll up and stuff, right? Now to move on to the Goku side of the unit. The Goku side doesn't stack like Vegeta, so Goku's purpose almost seems to be a way to get you to finish the fight. He's going to hit harder than Vegeta since he actually has built-in crits. And if you've stacked a lot with Vegeta, I imagine this Goku's going to come out hitting pretty hard. So we'll definitely see the value of this Goku when we get longer fights. But he's also very much a great option to just use if orbs didn't go your way with Vegeta. If you just didn't manage to get the rainbow orbs, switch to Goku and he'll be great to just sit there for the entire fight. Not slot 1, of course, like Vegeta would be, but in slot 2, slot 3, yeah, he's going to sit there and he'll be completely fine. So he does rely on Ink Key Spheres, which he does change for his first turn, just like Vegeta does with Rainbow Orbs. Now, he will be relying on another orb changer after this, but he's got at least 2 turns where he will be pretty capable with Ink Key Spheres, because he'll have this in his first turn, and it'll also be the active, which we'll get to after. So this isn't as bad as, say, how Diamond Goku was up until these units release, where Diamond Goku was, we didn't really have any good STRO changes. People were using like Year 7 Kaioken Goku, who was an awful easier even when he came out in 10th anniversary, never mind now a year later. But people were using him to meet his key, because he wasn't hitting it without STR key spheres, and years STR key spheres weren't consistent. But because he has this turn here, it should be a lot more consistent for him. Now, chance to perform a critical hit, damage reduction rate, and chance to dodge, 40% up. So immediately he's got crit here like Vegeta. He's got 40% damage reduction plus a chance to dodge. So he does have great defensive mechanics already, but we'll also get more of that later. Now, when attacking, 200% attack and 100% defense, so this is just solidifying more that he is a little bit more slot 2, slot 3 unit. Is not going to be very safe in slot 1, unless of course you do manage to get lucky with this. And for every attack performed, he does get critical hit, damage reduction rate, and chance of dodge 10% up. Now, if you've got the ink, now because it's related, I may as well talk about this now. If you are getting all this up, now it's not guaranteed you'll get all 7, but you should get these 5 up most of the time on his first turn. This 7 one can be a push. But you are likely seeing a triple super from this guy at the very least. But if you've got dupes, it likely double super at 55%, which is what I will be seeing. You know, so since he will probably double supering, maybe triple, he's going to get 6% chance to crit, damage reduction, and chance to dodge. Again, possibility is 7% as well, or maybe even 80% if you do manage to get this up. So when he's up with 8% crit, 8% damage reduction, 8% dodge, he'll be looking very good. He'll great defensively. His numbers, from what I've seen, aren't insane offensively, but that's most because you're not getting those stacks of Vegeta yet. Now, going on to his active skill, he gets 120 damage to enemy. Again, he gets more auto change into Inky spheres, so this again makes this, like, on his active skill turn, you're very likely to be getting all this. Which, of course, since these are infinite buffs, he'll just have this for the rest of the fight. He'll be able to get those additionals, get those crits. So he can just get that done once. He'll be looking very good after that. And the active skill support is, well, insane. So Power Wishes category allies Q plus 4, attack plus 44%, and GZ Heroes category allies Q plus 4 and defense plus 44% for one turn. Now, that active skill attack plus 44% buff there, what I can't help but think about is when the year 8 GT duo EZAs get having a double Spirit Bomb turn, you use this, you get that attack plus 44% active skill buff, you get the GT duo Spirit Bomb off with the year 8, you get that revised Spirit Bomb off at the end of the turn, and with a 44% attack buff there, that's going to hit like a truck, right? It's plus you'll be getting, if you're using the Vegeta side, you should be getting sorry, did I misremember that Vegeta has some support? Ah, yeah. So if you use the Vegeta side, you would of course get the EX Super buff before that, so you can further buff that Split one, but that wouldn't be by much. That said, that active skill buff with the nuke that Spirit Bomb from the year 8 will presumably be, if it's anything like they will in release, and what we've come to expect these anniversary Dokkan Fest LR EZAs to be, it's going to end up looking pretty insane. Now, of course, link set wise, the only change is that Royal Lineage gets changed to Kamehameha, which will be a little easier to get up. So now, instead of 6 links, you are getting all 7 links with these characters, like the Year 7s, like Vegeta. Again, so 6 links with these guys. So you get 6 links with Dynasty Super Saiyan 4 Goku now, 6 links with the Super Saiyan 3 4 Goku. his links end up looking pretty, like, you are consistently going to be seeing this guy at 7 out of 7 links on his team, because you are probably running over, like, the rotations you're running, they're almost always going to go in a way that will have those 7 links. So you'll probably be using them with there'll probably be a GT character on rotation, and there'll probably also be a Super Saiyan 4. So those links, like, so if you've got him on rotation with Diamond Super Saiyan 4, you're going to get everything except for GT. But chances are, your other unit, so the other unit on the rotation is going to be GT anyway. You know, you got characters like the Year 7s, like the Gogeta. So it's going to be very free and easy to just always have this guy at 7 out of 7 links. Now, as for it feels tough to rank this character because I have seen these guys get caught. I've seen Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta get caught quite a bit now. Even through God and 80% damage reduction. Now, granted, a lot of it is that he doesn't have, like, maybe his first time getting this up for the rest of the fight up, or he hasn't supered it all yet, and that does allow him to get caught when he's not got stacks up. So it's tough to rank these guys, and admittedly, offensively, they're very weak right now. I mean, hard to say they're weak, but they're middling, especially in comparison to what the Part 1 units are hitting at. When, like, it's hard to look at these guys hitting, 30 mil, 20 mil, and attack stats like that, when over the past couple of weeks we have gotten used to seeing 150 mil attack stats with damage of Super Goku. That said, I think currently, you're probably placing them in the lower half of the top 10. But still an insane top tier level unit. And honestly, I just think their content isn't out yet. I think maybe they should have launched longer content with them so that they would immediately, like, jump off the screen. Like, so that they're not releasing it, that lower half level. But I do think that long content is coming. And I think when it does, if the community, of course, decides it's of value and not what people decide for Festival Battles, then these guys could very easily shoot up into that top 3 level conversation if longer fights are in the card. I don't think there's any way that these characters could ever be better than their counterpart Part 2 unit, because that unit's just ridiculous. But I do think when we get that long content, this unit's going to be very funny looking and they will jump off the page. With that said, thank you for watching. I know I'm very late with this, so it's just as soon as I found the time. Thank you. We'll call it there.